So we are still planning on putting the primer on the walls as part of this video series. However, I wanted to do a little more cleanup on the Rick James floor here. And that is because there is joint compound on the floor that spilled when I was putting it on the walls, and then it globs up and then it hardens and it's really difficult to get off. I would have had to gone on my hands and knees with a scraper or some kind of chisel and got all the pieces off. So I figured I would go to the big box store and pick up a flat-ended hoe and then just scrape the floor with that. But instead, what I found was this really nifty little tool. It's labeled as a wood scraper. And if you look at it real closely, it's got this flat spaded end to it, which is really nice. And I use that just to scrape all of the joint compound off the floor, and it worked wonderfully. I got it all done in about 30 minutes. And now all I have to do is sweep up, and then we will proceed on to the walls. And if I didn't mention it before, I'm gonna do my little trick where I caulk all of the corners where they meet, like on these angles here. I'm gonna put caulk in here and run it all the way down. It'll really help smooth out the angles that are already here at all the 90 degrees and these 45 degrees. And that worked in bedroom number 2 over there. So we're gonna do the same thing in here, and then we will actually paint. So it is on to cleaning up the floor, caulking, and then painting. So we will see you at the next one. We have brought out the paint bucket. I've got my bucket of water with caulk and some wet rags, and we are putting in caulk in the corners like I mentioned earlier. And check it out. This is the very first bead of caulk that is going into the bonus room main area. We already did it for the closet, but we're gonna do it for the main area also. That's gonna fill in all those imperfections that I had when I was putting up the joint compound. I was looking at how much I need to do. There's really not a lot. There's some long runs, obviously. Got the angle there, the angle at the ceiling, this whole wall, of course, the angles, and then this side. And that's it, because when I finished the closet off, I had already put a bead of caulk on that whole facing, and I don't need to do that again. So I'm thinking this is going to take maybe an hour and a half at most. And that will complete this part of the project. And then we will move on to the primer tomorrow. So the caulking is the last piece. And the other piece I'm going to start working on is taking some of these tools that I have that do not apply anymore to the construction of the bonus room back down into our cluttered garage, and just leaving the tools up here that I need for painting and putting down the hardwood floors. And that's going to be the air compressor, the hardwood floor hammer over there, and the hardwood floor tool. But the sawhorses and everything, all that stuff is going to go downstairs. My big, huge toolbox there. That's what we are going to do here shortly. So we will continue on, and I will give you another update shortly. Until then. I have completed all of the caulking in the corners, the angled corners at the ceiling and this wall here, and then in the corners on this wall. And I was pretty spot on with my timing for once. It took about an hour and a half to complete all of that caulking, and it actually turned out pretty good. The lines are smooth on each of the angles, and once we go over it with the primer, we're gonna get a better feel for what that looks like. So with that being said, we are ready tomorrow to start priming these walls. This is great. And I've actually started gathering some of the tools I'm not gonna need for painting and the flooring, and I've started moving them out there. You can see some of the buildup of boxes and sawhorses. I got the 2 Makita cases over there by the stairs, so We got a few more in here that I need to pull out, but we'll start bringing that stuff downstairs because we're not going to need it, of course. With that being said, I am super excited. Once again, it's dark out, and we are going to wrap this series up. I think I have enough footage to make another piece here, and we will start fresh with primer painting. And we're gonna follow the usual process. We're gonna use a paintbrush to get the corners first, up on the ceiling, on these corners, and the angled walls and ceiling, of course. And then we will go through with our first coat of primer, and then come back for a second coat of primer on the corners and on the angled walls. One of the things I learned about doing this closet here, the roller will actually go up through here and hit the center of this and put enough paint on there. But me, I'm going to be a little bit OCD on this and make sure that those corners get hit. So we're just gonna paint those and just do it like we do with a 90-degree wall. So with that being said, again, we are closing this one out. We will see you at the next series. So until next time, peace out.